Let's just start from the top. Tell me about yourself. What's your role? How did you end up doing what you do today?
Okay, thank you for the intro. Yes, so I started my career in 2009 in Canada. I was in supply chain and logistics. So I first started with freight forwarder. I was a broker for a 3PL.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned my trade in the transportation world. The road transportation was the first thing I've learned. Then I've learned ocean freight. I've learned rail freight, and then air freight and cargo and all that comes with this. Then later on, I became more interested in the how the import and exporting works, how the regulations, the compliance. And then step by step, I got involved into other things. I got involved into the warehousing world. So I got involved in storage, of course, of all the freight I'm shipping or receiving. It has to go somewhere. So the first job I had was as a manager role was a DC manager role. And that was a big step up for me. That was 2015, I believe. And during that time, the temperature integrity through the process from when they grow in the field until they are transported in refrigerated containers to the warehouse. And then from the warehouse to the production plant. The plant will, of course, have different manufacturing lines. And then there are different SKUs that comes out of the end of this as finished goods. And so my job was kind of touching the product more than once because I'm touching it with the growers. And then once transported into the plant, it's manufactured and finished goods. Once it's finished goods, it becomes a product that we sell for retail. The retail channels was mostly B2B, and we were selling to the likes of, this is in Canada, of course, so the likes of Walmart, Safeway, etc. Later on, I stayed in the FMCG world, but in different roles. So I went to a warehouse, more of a warehousing contract logistics role. During that time, I was a general manager for 3 facilities. They were temperature controlled. They were completely for food that is not primarily frozen. So it would be like frozen ice, of course, ice cream is frozen, any meat, frozen chicken, turkey, and the frozen world was completely different to me. It's a little bit more straightforward in terms of it's not just in time, but the temperature integrity is even more important because once this product is not frozen, it's a little bit soft. This product is completely compromised and becomes waste. So that also solutions in terms of warehouse layout. Sometimes they found they don't have the best layout, or they want to improve and optimize their warehouse space. Could be a racking project, could be even an ERP installation product. I also worked on that, and recently also I worked for Abu Dhabi Co-op for centralization. Warehouse centralization. They had multiple locations in UAE. They felt that some of the other warehouses were not utilized efficiently, or underutilized, or overutilized. Sorry. So the goal was to centralize their distribution from one location in the UAE to service the entire UAE instead of 3 to 1. That was most of my work as of last year. Also, while doing that, I graduated from a master's degree from INSEAD University. That's most recent in December last year. And now I'm back in the game. looking for new challenges, new opportunities, and yeah, I think that sums up my experience in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's really good. That was really, really straightforward. I like that. All right, that's cool. So let's expand on some of the things. Just wanted to obviously, kind of see more as far as you had a lot of experience in different roles, I would say, but mostly having to do with FMCG. But if you were to expand on, just one of them, which one kind of you remembered the most, and which one would you say you had experience with, because obviously we're a solution provider, where you found that the operations, the way they have
people like underestimating it and how much that cost for time and hours,
right.
the time and money, sorry. And the work on the transportation side, again, efficiency. I see a lot of manual planning or routes. There's a lot of softwares, and they're not very expensive. Like, for example, Optimo Route. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Yeah, heard of that one. Yeah.
They've been around for a while. They're not a very expensive option. There might be 100 dirhams a month or $30 a month, US dollars. But they give you a lot of. All you have to do is give them your points, and they build your routes for you, depending on your travel time, your traffic, your volume for each stop, or maybe it could be the value of the goods. It depends on the criteria that you choose, and then it will give you the best optimal route, and that creates the efficiency without having to do this work manually. And a lot of people, unfortunately, in my opinion, underestimate that, and they insist on doing these manually. So you're basically having one person whose job is a planner to do this work every day. When I'm not suggesting we downsize, but I'm saying this person could be doing something else, not this work.
Exactly. I see. That's really great. Great points. I like those. That's really good. So as far as the warehousing, I got it from the, a lot of friction is created because so many people are just working at the same time when there's not much for them to do at that point. Yeah, I've worked at a warehouse too. By the way, I live in Canada as well, so I know exactly where you're coming from. Worked at a Giant Tiger, and I've seen that a lot where it's just overstaffed because the assumption is, that there's going to be a lot of orders.
Unfortunately, but it just requires a lot of, how I was mentioned, tailoring the system to your needs. This is what I meant by that. So you're adding printers, you're adding some approval in the scanner, so your system recognizes, okay, Stan has finished this order. He completed it. He clicked that he completed it, and then he scanned that location for the printer, and the printer understands, okay, the next sequence for him is this, so it spits out that order for you. You don't have to travel all the way back to supervisor to print it for you. Use some AI there, basically. That's what I think.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with you completely. Got it. That's really good. So now, just to kind of not really sum it up, but just to go a little bit deeper, specifically the biggest pain points that you've seen. Again, you have a lot of experience in warehousing, retail, FMCG, and with different positions as well. So you've seen like what it is on the floor, what it is from the management side. What would you say are the biggest pain points just based on your position? So if you want to go through like one or two of them and what you've seen where you would say, it could be improved.
A few things. I think the first one is alignment. You've got to be aligned with, you mentioned Christmas, for example, here, Ramadan, same thing.
Exactly.
The peak season. So you have to be aligned with your management has to be aligned, and the supervisory level have to be aligned, and then the people on the floor, like the labor, have to be also aligned. So how that is done is, of course, communication. So I know it sounds very straightforward that people should communicate, but I don't think there's enough communication. and communication to every level. So as I mentioned, 3 levels, and
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's good that management, of course, knows that okay, Ramadan or Christmas is busy. Okay, and people on the floor know, or the right again comes down to the scanning. We talked about that and the importance of scanning, and
Mm-hmm.
you scan, you enter the correct expiry date, because you have different batches, different expiry dates. For some companies I've worked with, for example, if they receive something, let's say January 2026, they will not receive a December 25 item after that because the system will not allow it.
Right.
So that product, yeah, you have to, of course, either sell to someone else or
Mm-hmm.
uh, destroy. So to answer you, there's plenty of softwares that do a similar task. I think it's up to if it's up to me, it's really we underestimate training the inventory control. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen this, okay. I also seen this in Canada a lot more than UE.
Yeah.
There's usually an inventory manager, and the inventory manager, I see them report to finance, not to the somebody in the building, not to the warehouse manager or the general manager. They report to somebody
Very
outside. So the idea is that that guy is or girl uh, is kind of independent. They're not getting pressured by the people on site. That's the whole
Mm,
idea.
right.
And they have a different vertical for reporting.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to challenge them, you challenge the other person, the other manager. So that's how they report this way. I also see here in UE, there is an inventory person, but it's not really as dedicated for section. For example, it's an inventory person for the whole building. But I see in Canada, there's like somebody for inventory for food, inventory for non-food, inventory for um, other other items like the consumables, like so there's a little bit more in Canada depth in this part.
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen again in the UE, it does exist, but it doesn't exist look at the pricing, the options, and how you can, if you're small, how you can, afford it, how you can finance it or get a loan, or there's lots of
Mm-hmm.
ways to pay for that software. And then the implementation and training fees. So implementation again depends on how complicated the requirements are and how much
Yeah.
time your consultant or your provider have given you for timeline. So this is
Mm-hmm.
usually a project
Of
and
course.
done in weeks. So once that's complicated, then you're looking after the training and training and enrollment deployment phase.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. Yeah. I got that. That's perfect. That's perfect. So basically, identifying the problem in 2026, there's no way to go with Excel sheets or pen and paper. Identify the problem, look at exactly where you're lacking, what you can improve, and then start essentially searching for inventory management solutions. If you, for some reason in 2026, don't have an ERP system, of course, start with an ERP system, and then continue from there. And then, yeah, as you mentioned multiple times now, after you've figured out the right solution provider, then you go and make sure that the training, so essentially the software itself is easy to use, so it's much easier to get the end users to switch from their old ways to the new system, which they'll be using for quite a long time going forward. Got it.
Absolutely.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And last question that I have here is based on your experience, and it's a kind of like quite wide question, but what's the thing now about running warehouse operations that you generally wish someone had told you earlier, like in the earlier days?
Change is difficult, and people are reluctant to change. I thought, okay, everybody will get along, everybody
Yeah.
will play ball, everybody will